Hello, welcome to Billy Bob's Album of the Month. For the month of October 2023, I chose to feature the new Emme Phyzema album, Trying Not to Try. It's a fucking phenomenal album. You should really check it out. It's up on the bandcamp for Name Your Price, along with all our other collections. I had managed to get a hold of M, and we discussed her whole discography in detail. And we're about to jump into that shit here in a second. Make sure to like, subscribe, click the bell, leave some comments, and all that other good stuff. But we're going to jump right into that here in a second. Enjoy. Justified sentences, material and comfort me. Right face fell in love with versus a basic way. Right face fell in love with versus a basic way. All right, so let's jump into this. How'd you first get into music?
My dad taught me, he was like, you should play guitar. And I was like, no, I don't want to. I want to play the snare drum. So I played the snare drum for like a year and I was like, fuck, I suck at this. So then finally I picked up a guitar and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fun. So that's that.
Well, that was a quick, simple answer.
Yeah.
What was your first musical project that you were involved in?
I had a best friend. His name was Zach Getz, and he was like my gay best friend growing up. And him and he would like write songs and he would sing, and I would play guitar, and it was just kind of folky, but it was cool. Yeah. Um, yeah. So like him and I started doing folk stuff, and then I got a Tascam 388 like tape machine, and like realized the joys of multi-tracking, and that is kind of what led me down the path of like prog, I guess, like seeing what I could do with it. Like, oh, cool, add more layers. Oh wait, I can do more things. And so once I got that was like, oh, cool. That changed my life. Like, because before we would record on like cassette tapes and we would do phone recordings and like really simple stuff. But yeah, tape machine. Tape machine changed my life.
Steps everything up a level, right?
Yeah. And then I discovered MIDI. I discovered the MIDI grid, and then that was just like a whole new world of like, oh my god, I can compose things that I can't even play. What,
Word, word.
Yeah.
So, and then you moved to New York and picked up the bass.
Yeah. I moved to New York to join this band Pseudo Sentai, and I was always really against learning the bass because of the stigma with female bass players. I was just like, I'm not going to be a female bass player ever. Like, I'm never going to play the bass. And then, my friend Greg Murphy's band comes along and he was like, I need a bass player. And I was like, all right, you guys are really sick. Okay, I'll do it. Like, yeah, I'll move to New York. I'll learn all your songs. And, it didn't work out, but it was still a really great experience.
Word. And is said rivalry still going on?
It is, whether Greg thinks it is or not.
Mind giving that quick explanation to said rivalry with Greg?
Oh, okay. So I have a lifelong musical competition, and it is to make the most creative albums, the most albums. Each album has to have at least 500 hours of work put into it. Each album has to be better than the rest. So it's like no improv albums, nothing, no like cop outs, no like demo albums. Those don't count as points. The point system is, 1 30-minute album is 1 point. If you make a 60-minute album, it's 2 points. I think like shorter albums, they can be half points, like 5 tracks or something, but I haven't really done that yet. So currently I am still winning. I know that Greg has like 3 albums on the back burner, but he needs to get off his ass and release them.
Word. So tell me about Emme Phyzema. When did you first start writing for this project?
Emme Phyzema was supposed to be like a villain in the Pseudo Sentai universe. because they're Power Rangers, they're there to save the world, and Emphysema is like the villain that's gonna like bring them down. So I was kind of like, when I left that band, I was like, I'm gonna get them, and like the musical competition had started before that, but once I moved back to Ohio and started, like, that was my project of just like, but just like the villain, like in their universe, and yeah. Yeah.
Rocking. So, tell me about Dispelling Difference. It was your first release in 2019 of a whole massive series of releases back to back. Dispelling Difference. Let's touch base on that one.
So that was supposed to just be like, that wasn't supposed to be the first album. The first album was supposed to be the Emphysema album, but I wasn't ready to do that yet. It like didn't quite fall into place, and I couldn't figure out what to do with it. So Dispelling Differences was like an homage to just like my friends and my buddies, and like so all of the track names are initials of like people who have inspired me. And I didn't have a drummer. So I hired this guy Paul Hundemy to do drums for me and mix it, and it's still good. I still wish I had real drums. I still think it would be better. And same with the second album, the self-titled. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll like revisit that and pay a drummer to like put drums on that. But I don't know. I think that would be sweet.
Well, regardless of the lack of actual drums, they are pretty good albums. I really dig Dispelling Difference and the Emphysema album. Both came out in 2019, right back to back. Tell me, what inspired these whole series of releases?
I don't know, to be honest, because I had just been making music and just hoarding it on my computer, and like having the mentality that nothing's good enough, like, oh, this isn't good enough to be released, and blah blah blah. And I don't really know what shifted, but something clicked, and I was like, I'm done. I just get it out there so you have something to show, and then the next one will be better, and then hopefully the next one will, and then hopefully that's what causes that progression, is like just getting it out there and being done, instead of like trying to hyper obsess and make it perfect, because there is no such thing as perfect. I don't know. I don't know what was the catalyst. I just was just done. Like,
well, I mean, you did have some stuff up on the SoundCloud beforehand, but
yeah,
some demos. Yeah. But like I said, just like, what was it, 7 albums back to back? Like,
yeah. Yeah, dude, kind of crazy. And I think what was, I don't know, I released almost 4 in 1 year, and it was, I don't know, I was just on it. I was just like sorting through all this stuff and trying to put all these songs together into albums. Like, it's just like, it's still a mess. There's still a mess of like shit I have to deal with, that I'm just done. Like, now I'm like, okay, write new stuff. Like, that stuff will always be there if you want to work on it, but I feel like enough of it has come to light to where I can kind of just let the rest of it go.
So as you were releasing them and compiling them together, was there a cohesion with the particular, because like you had a whole horde of songs, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So like sorting through that and trying to find what fits with what. There's like several versions of each of the albums that, I don't know, still exist on my computer somewhere, that just like, oh, that didn't quite work, and like, it might have worked but not as well. And yeah.
Emphysema. Let's talk about that Emphysema album. That was great.
Oh yeah, dude, I still really love that album. Like I said, I love that album. It just, I still want it to be more. I still want it to have live drums, but I feel like that was like, okay, Dispelling Differences is cool, but I feel like Emphysema is like, oh cool, I found like my sound, as cheesy as that sound. I don't know. I don't want to be that person, but it's like, oh, this is me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it was intended to be the first album.
Right.
What?
And yeah, I
Oh,
guess it's kind of cool. I guess it's kind of cool to release a self-titled as a second album. It's unconventional. I don't know.
then it took about a year before you released Chronic Bronchitis. See, Emphysema came out on April 20th, 2019, and Chronic Bronchitis came out April 12th, 2020. Um, what, did it just take that long to reorganize the next setup for the albums, or because you
I would. Oh, go ahead.
because you released Chronic Bronchitis on the 12th, and then literally 2 weeks later you released another album on April 28th, 2020, a series of Related Dreams. Uh,
I
Tell
know.
me about those two releases that were.
Um,
What is there a significance to April?
no, it just seems spring, like let things out in spring, I guess.
Okay, okay.
Well, I didn't even want to release Chronic Bronchitis because I thought it sucked because it's just like folk music, you know? And it's funny because a lot of people tell me, oh, that's my favorite album. I'm like, really? That had the least amount of thought put into it. That was just like a collection of folk songs that I had together. And I think Greg Murphy convinced me. He's like, you should have Bob Drake mix this. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see if he wants to. And he did, and he made it sound really good. And I don't know. I still was like, even after he mixed it, I didn't know if I was going to release it. I was just like, kind of held on to it for a while. And when like Related Dreams was like nearing getting done, that's when I was like, I'm gonna just release 2 albums. I'm just gonna do it. Just like, because they're totally different, they're not. So because I was like, okay, Related Dreams is good enough to where if people think that this folk album is just a joke, they'll hopefully overlook it.
Word, word. Do you count being more folky? Do you count that as part of the prog releases? Because I noticed on your Bandcamp, Greg Murphy did make a comment about how it was not a prog album.
I know. I don't know. That's up to him. I did put a lot of time into it, but probably not 500 hours. It probably doesn't meet that qualification. So
Okay.
probably isn't worth a point, but other people like it. So yeah, it's a point. It's a point.
I just wanted to know how that fared out in the scheme of things.
Well, even if it's not a point, I'm still winning. So I'm still beating him.
Okay, okay, those are both great releases. I did like a series of Related Dreams more because, I mean, though I do like the folky stuff, I really like your proggy stuff a lot more. I like your the way you map out that MIDI grid to very chromatic-y scale. It's phenomenal. I like your work.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really fun. That's what I like too. That's like I think that kind of stuff makes me more proud. And the folk stuff is just cathartic. The folk stuff is just like for fun. It's like I don't know. But the MIDI stuff makes me feel like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Like I said, it's like, oh, I can write things that I can't play. And that is the coolest thing in the world. Like that's so sick.
Word, word. In August the same year, 2020, right? We all had a lot of time in 2020, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
You released a third release that year called Unadulterated Bliss, which was a fucking great album too. Tell me
Thank
a bit
you.
about that one.
That one I debated on tracking, like putting real instruments, but I feel like it would have taken away from like just what it was, which is just straight up MIDI music, like and like I even like toyed around with the first track. It starts off with real instruments. Like I tried tracking it and I'm like, no, I don't think this is appropriate. I don't know. It just didn't feel like necessary. I don't know.
And your version of Crocaine on that one was a lot better than
Yeah,
than
right.
a series of Related Dreams. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's funny because that's one of the songs I've just played at my 2 live shows, and I keep joking with the drummer that I have, Chris Windle. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna use this like big crusher pedal, and I'm gonna play it 3 times as fast. He's like, no, no, and I'm like, yeah, come on, let's do it. Come on, it'll be fun. But yeah, I like the faster version too. It just
Yeah, so he's not down with that one, huh?
no, no, no. Even though he's a black metal drummer, no, yeah, he. I don't want to pigeonhole him into just being a black metal drummer, but that's his, yeah.
Word. I will say that you did release 4 releases that year because on New Year's of 2020 you did the MIDI release of "Shorts Are Comfy"
Yeah.
and "Easy to Wear." What was the continuation of that? If you like it on a fake, uh,
Oh yeah, like if you're into fake or MIDI harpsichord, Logic 8 harpsichord.
yeah, some yeah. So I guess you did release 4 that year, but do you
No,
count
no,
that as one of your releases, or that was just a teaser for the 5 days later?
yeah. So that was like I released that because it was like the first kind of time I'd really collaborated with other people singing on an album, and I kind of like hated it. Like so I had like Max Moberry from Others by No One. I had him do some songs, and then Nick Kroll from Nick Kroll and the Proletarians. He did some songs, and like I had before I don't know, I had this crisis of like, but it's not mine, but now it's not mine. And then I was like, oh, I'm just gonna release the harpsichord MIDI, and that's mine, that's all mine. But I love the way it turned out, but there was that crisis of like, damn, and now I'm sharing this. And I mean I love it now, but in that moment it was really scary to like, I don't know, to share. Like I
Word.
don't know if that makes sense, but it was just like, yeah, I don't know. Like the idea of it almost like I was just like I felt like I'm not enough because I had to ask someone else for help, and like I wanted to ask them for help. I wanted to collaborate with them. I love what they did, but it was like, yeah, that was a weird mentality, which is why I made released that little harpsichord thing because I'm like, that's mine, it's all mine.
It was great. The following album was "Temporary Triumph," where you're won your internal competition with Greg. Is he
Yeah.
aware of said competition? Have
Oh
you?
yeah, he knows. He knows. I haven't spoken to him in a year, just for like personal reasons, but he knows about it, and he knows he can't get out of it because it's lifelong. So I don't know. Well, I actually did call him today randomly and just was like, "Hey, dude, how you doing?" But yeah, no, he's in it for life, so he better make some releases. But yeah, I won Temporary Triumph. That felt so good. That really felt so good, and it was almost kind of like, oh man, what now? Like I'm winning. Like what do I want to do now? So it took me a while to like figure that out because there wasn't that drive of like I need to prove myself. So it was like very strange. It felt really good to finally like win temporarily because it is, I could start losing at any point in time, but I don't know. Like I said, that without that motivation of like competition, like in a healthy way of like, oh, you're so damn clever. I'm gonna do this now. And it was just like, yeah, I was kind of lost for a minute after that.
And hence the reason why it took you a couple years for your next release.
Yes, definitely.
Which we're gonna talk about right now because I just stumbled across it the other day and I was fucking blown away.
Oh,
Trying
thank
not to
you.
try. Fucking great album, great album. Tell me about that. How did that one come about?
That was there's actually kind of like a side album that I released under a different name that I did, just like things that didn't make the cut that I didn't want to work on, you know. There's just an album of demos called Ephemeral Xenia, you know, like but Trying Not to Try was just so I'm trying to pay my house off. I'm like really close to paying my house off. And so I've been working nonstop. And that album is kind of like working nonstop, trying to find the motivation to find new to like continue playing, like although being physically exhausted, and just like, you know, trying to find space and time to continue creating, even though I don't know, life was just like just giving me hell, you know, like work and life and like trying to pay a house off and all of that. So yeah, that was just a collection of like acoustic songs that I didn't really know what to do with, and I made a Facebook post and was like, okay, so who wants to add drums? I don't have a drummer. And my friend Jack of Zenden Green Perp,
You froze up on me. Hold on. See now it's kind of doing something. Now it's starting to clear up.
okay, okay, cool.
Well, shit. Let's pick it back up at the drummer Cardiac's forum. Yeah. Sorry, I apologize for this.
No, don't. It's all good. So yes, Jack of Zenden Green Perp, he reached out and he's like, you can use my drummer. I'm like, okay, great, awesome. And he was like, can I add some stuff, you know, some like atmosphere to it? And I was like, okay, yeah, do whatever you want, man. And he added so much. He added like track upon track of all of these psychedelic sounds and weird little, you know, melodies that perfectly complemented the album in ways that I never thought they would. Like, I feel like some of it sounds like we're jamming in real time. I don't know. It has that feel of liveness about it that I don't know. He's such a good composer that he just picked up, or we just have such similar styles that like, oh man, I don't know. It's cool. It was really cool.
Yeah, it turned out fucking great. It turned out great. Might be one of my favorite releases so far because I'm fucking digging it. But I've only had it for what, a week so far. But I'm
Yeah.
fucking loving this album. I'm loving it.
Oh, thank you. Me too. It was another one that I was unsure about. That I was like, you know, like I heard what other people, what you know, Zenden did with it, and I was just like, oh, I don't know, do I like it? And then I heard what Ben Spees did to it after it was mixed, and I was like, holy shit, okay, yeah, because that dude knows how to like clear the space and make something sound incredible.
Yeah, he's done your last few albums, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, he's just like, and he's just so intuitive with it. He knows exactly what to do. And like with this last one, I gave him such little instructions. I was just like, okay, I just want this and I want this. And I don't know, because when I first did a Related Dreams with him, I sent him like, I think like at least 2 page list of notes of like, okay, and at 146 or bar 30, I want this to come up. You know, I was like really obsessive about it. Like it's totally unnecessary. He knows what to do. Like he's a genius. Like, yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's obvious because it has turned out so well. Your albums have turned out so well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I think we covered everything. Is there any details I'm missing that I should be hitting?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
I'm
been pretty
excited. I'm
thorough.
excited about my new album too. Like I said, because I feel like this was like the first time I've really fully half and half collaborated. Because all I did was the stringed instrument, and Jack and Harry they did everything else, and then Ben Spees mixed it. So it was just like I said, it was like I would call it a collab. Like it was a full collab, which is sweet.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. It turned out great. Turned out great.
Thank you. Thank you.
How fucking informative was that shit? That was great. That was great stuff. Um, like I said, make sure to like and subscribe. Go check out all of her social medias and her Bandcamp. There's also some interesting stuff she has up on the SoundCloud if you're really interested, like some old demos and things of that nature. Fucking fascinating. Make sure to like and subscribe, and catch you next month.